Hello, everyone, and welcome to week bajillion of Lily and I's podcast where we talk about fantasy worlds. Lily, how are you doing on week bajillion?
I'm doing wonderfully on Week Bajillion. I am visiting my family in Indiana, corn country. Having a great time, a grand old time.
Grand
How are
old
you
time.
doing, Leo, on this
I,
Bajillion episode?
yes, on this bajillion episode, I've been lounging about, playing a lot of League of Legends.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I did make a guest star appearance on another podcast, which is
Ooh,
being broadcasted today at 6, where I'm talking about esports at USC. So that's really
that's very
cool.
exciting.
Yes.
Podcast celebrity Clio
No
Lang.
way.
Yes, absolutely.
Just doing all this for fun, you know? And then, oh wait, an excuse to hang out with you, Lily, so.
Oh shucks.
Oh, shucks. Well, you surprised me by saying that you got this series that I recommended to you and you read it immediately, and I am so excited to talk to you about this world. Um so yeah, talk to me about it, Lily, just overall general thoughts on the series and the world.
I love this world. It's pretty simplistic, but
Mm-hmm.
the straightforwardness is like really, really a draw.
Right.
It's it makes it so digestible. I don't have to sit there fretting about like, oh, I don't really understand this. Um, I don't get the politics. Like it's all very straightforward, and I think that is because it is like more of a is it a young adult series or is it a children's series? Because it comes off as a children's series to me, especially with
Yes.
the way that it handles certain things,
Yes.
especially like what is obvious to me as like, oh, Alana and George are about to go like bone. It's like not said outright. It's like, oh, they go to bed, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah, they go
yeah,
to bed. I mean,
they go to bed.
there's some elements in there, especially the last book, that is not as
Kid friendly. Yeah,
yeah, kid friendly. So yeah, it is in our library in the kids section. The entire
yeah,
series is in the kids section, which I was shocked about because there are some like more of a preteen sort of element to it where it's like
yeah,
she gets the pendant and the George's mom is like, here is gonna, George's mom tells her about all the things about being a woman, right? She's the woman that tells Alana all that stuff, and that kind of is more of like a preteen feel for me, you know.
definitely.
um
But I feel like it's just a thing. Like Tamora Pierce was like, yeah, young women should know these things, so I'm gonna put them in here, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
go for
honestly,
it.
I go ahead.
No, I just said wig,
Wig. Yeah, I mean,
wig.
I read the series when I was like 11, and I learned some things through it, and I think I've spoken into a little bit more detail about my thoughts when I was younger about the romance, and then my thoughts as I'm older about the romance, which we could go into again. Um, now that we know about it, now that you know
Yes.
about it as well. But yeah, the world is super simple. Don't really need to know much about politics besides king, nobles. One of
Yeah.
the nobles wants the power, at least in the first book. Um, and then you have, oh my god, I just remembered the third book where she goes to see the tribes out in the like plains
Yeah.
in the desert, and she like learns thing. It's oh, the representation. There's also the whole, I feel like I remember there being like discrimination against like this sort of like
The
this,
Bazir.
yeah, just
Yeah.
discrimination against these minorities, right? Like the idea they have these like primitive, I'm putting it in quotation marks, primitive rites and rituals, but
Yeah.
Alana kind of fights against that idea, and she wants to become a part of the culture, and embrace it, but also help the women a little bit more, you know? And oh,
Yeah.
it's such a good series to like teach girls about standing up for yourself and for others and, you know, human
Yeah.
rights. It's all packed in there.
And I like the way that it's like, okay, like women are pretty much mistreated everywhere, but they are commonly mistreated in these ways, and in different cultures, they can be mistreated in different ways.
Mhm.
And some things that we see as mistreatment in one culture are not necessarily mistreatment in another culture. Like, specifically, Alana's opinions about the Bazir women wearing veils comes to mind.
Mhm.
Like, they are very comfortable wearing veils. Like,
Mhm.
it's very much a societal thing. Like, they are not forced to wear them, but it is a societal expectation that they wear them or be seen as like, you know, a
In
bad
public, yeah.
bad morale, yeah. Um, but Alana's like, you don't have to wear those, and the Bazir girls are like, we're gonna keep wearing these,
Yeah, but you know, that's
which is
fine.
a common thing with a lot of Muslim women. Like they, it is part of their culture and the way that they see themselves.
Mhm.
And it's important. It's very important to them, um, especially like spirituality wise.
Right.
Yeah,
Very good
and I don't
elements.
know how many of the like cultures that are in the books are supposed to be like one-to-ones, because pretty much for all of them, I feel like there was one-to-ones for like real world cultures, which I was like about, but
Yeah, you know,
in
it's
King
hard to
series
make up your
again,
own sort of culture with
exactly.
without knowing what you already know, you know. Um,
Yes,
and also it's a children's book, so I can't imagine
exactly.
her trying to get too funky with it. I, again, I really need to write Tamora Pierce a letter saying thank you to her though,
Yeah.
because
I mean, I want to read her other books so bad now.
yes, so some of her other books are more into the teen fiction, young adult fiction territory. They're a little bit edgier and saucier. So
Ooh, saucy.
saucy. Um, but what's your impression of the magic system in the Song of the Lioness?
I really like it. It's soft for the most part, which I like. There's a lot of different types of magic. So there's like land magic,
Mm-hmm.
which you pull from the land. You use it to do like divination, connecting with other people like in the brain, like the Bazir
Mm-hmm.
do like their desert magic that connects them from in their minds. And then you have like arcane magic, which is like you draw it from within yourself. Some people are born with it, some people are not, and you have to train in order to control it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like sorcery, it's just like that.
Yes.
Which I really like. I like having different types of magic, especially like the knot tying magic that they do. I was like, oh
Oh
my
yeah. God,
god,
the third book makes me feral. I'm not gonna lie. It
so
is.
good.
Mwah. Um, then there's also the romance drama in the third book. Mwah.
Oh yeah.
Perfection.
Hmm.
Something about Alana just being like a stick to him. Sort of
Hmm.
like I'm my own person, and when Jonathan was like trying to be possessive with her,
Yeah,
she
assuming that she was going to accept the marriage proposal, even though it's like she hasn't accepted it all, and he's like, "Yeah, like you're coming home with me," and it's like, "No, she's not, brother. Like, get off.
yeah, like
Her choice."
her choice, man. Let her think about it first. Hey, the audacity to think that it's for granted, you know. And Alana was like,
Mhm.
"Huh, you know what?"
You know what? I'm gonna wreck this man's entire career.
She went peace out and then went out and learned martial arts in
Yeah,
the fourth book, which I can't believe she did that as well. Get a
for real.
woman that wields a sword, magic, is a shaman
And
essentially and is a martial
yeah,
artist.
I
um
mean, how beautiful. She said, "Yes, I'm going to multi-class in as many as I can." And I said, "You're iconic."
I want to be Alana so bad. She is iconic.
She's
Oh
so
my
cool.
lord. She is extremely cool. God, I like how we're just sitting here fangirling about Alana for the past few minutes. Yeah, so the next topic would be politics, which, again, I think we've kind of touched on that a little bit. It's not a
Right?
main focus, besides Alana being an instrument of politics.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that the the politics that are present are very easy to understand.
mhm,
Um, like it's like, oh, like the former king has been really lenient with the fringe countries, so like that's gonna cause some problems. And it's
mhm,
like, okay, cool. I get that. I understand why
mhm.
that would be like that. Because it lays it out very nicely for you. It's like I just like it. I like it a
Yes,
lot.
natural consequences. And then you have like certain mutinous groups, I think in the first book, where she's out there and she gets captured by a treasonous
Yeah, the
individual.
Toussaint army.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's not too silly, all the conflict that happens. It's realistic.
It is
Um
very realistic.
with an added sort of fairy tale aspect to it, where Alana
Mhm.
kind of always triumphs at the end, which we
Yeah.
take that. We take that sweet treat of women taking winning all the time.
Yes, we love it.
We love that. All right, well, let's go into some a little bit more detail here in the series. What were your favorite parts? Or here, I'll ask this question first. Which book was your favorite book?
That is. Oof. I really deeply love The Woman Who Rides Like a Man. I think it is
Yes.
just it's just iconic. It's just iconic. Um the second one, In the Hands of the Goddess. I honestly forget what happened in the second book.
You're right, actually. I'm not quite sure what happens in the second book. Let's see.
Okay, wait. Second book. Okay, it ends with her killing Duke Roger. It's mostly her like trying to be like, this guy seems like he's doing wrong things.
I keep thinking that's the end of the first book. All right. The end
Yeah.
of the first. Okay, the end of the first book is where they go into the city and she's still a student, and then it becomes a teaser for the major villain that I'm thinking about. That is the finale of the second book. All right,
Yes.
gotcha.
And also, I love that Duke Roger comes back. I love that he comes back to life because it hinted at in the way that it's like it finished really quickly in the
Mhm.
second book. The fight was over very quickly, and um, even Alana feels like a certain way about it. She's like, I don't know, like maybe I shouldn't have like killed him like that. Like
Mhm.
maybe that shouldn't have happened. And he comes back and she kills him again, and she feels completely right about it. And I feel like that's just really cool. And also how she kills him is very cool. She's like, what does he expect me to do? Fight. So what should I do? Stop fighting. And the sword that she's trying to hold on to that he's pulling with like his magic just
Mhm.
like shoots into him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so iconic."
That was a big brain move. I enjoy you re-narrating this because I don't quite remember a lot of this, but yeah, she thinks, and all these men dunderhead knights don't seem to think as much as Alana.
Mhm.
And I think even though she is like, I'm smaller than the rest of them and I'm not as bulky as the rest of them, but she has her wits as well as like her
Mhm.
magic and such.
Yeah.
um I have to say my favorite book would also have to be the third one, because she spends some time with George. Then she goes out and she meets this different culture. Again, the whole thing with Jonathan. And yeah, the magic with the knots. She travels around, um, riding a horse, fighting people. Oh my
Mm.
gosh, my heart. I also really like the last book, um,
Yeah, I
because
really like it as well. It's the pacing is really, really good.
yes, she's in a war with herself. I think this was the book that I think Tamora was trying, well, obviously is trying to wrap up Alana's sort of character and
Hmm.
kind of give her a conclusion, because things were rocky at the end of the third book, but we don't really have any plot necessarily. So you have Alana going out and doing her own thing, and usually whenever you have something like that, you're like super depressed about it and it drags out.
Hmm.
But she like fights off the snowstorm, and she meets this guy named Liam who teaches her
Hmm.
martial arts, and
Hot Shang warrior.
a hot Shang warrior. And
Hmm.
but then there's also this conflict because Liam gives her what she wants, right, which is traveling around and doing her own thing, right, with him.
Yeah.
But they have conflict in that he hates magic users. Like there's
Like,
something that irks him.
afraid of magic. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they also are this sort of bickering couple type. Um, and it was like, so the relationship wasn't stale, and it wasn't like Liam was this sort of fallback, not a rebound
Yeah.
relationship. He was
It
someone that
was
was,
difficult. Yeah.
yeah, it was a genuine love interest that she was like, what if I went with Liam, you know? And
Yeah, she, even though like they got together and she was like, this probably won't work, and she stuck with it anyways until it didn't work, and she like learned from it.
yeah,
And that's what relationships are. That's what relationships
the
are.
understanding, all right, this is where we have to draw the line. And she made that really hard choice. And I mean, this girl went through a lot of hard choices.
Mhm.
But finally, like, Jonathan does have his like redemption in the fourth book, even though he's still, I have to say, a little bit kind of controlling. But they come into terms that yes, they too would be best to be separate. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And she like even match makes a little bit. She's like, I brought you the most beautiful girl in the world, this uh Serenese princess.
yes.
Like,
Oh, I forgot about that.
she'd be a great queen, like just saying. And he's like, are you sure that you won't marry me? Being like, and then she's like, ah ha ha, no, I will not marry you, but you should marry her. I know you've been thinking about it. And he's like, oh shucks.
Oh shucks, man, life sucks when you're the prince.
Yeah, it's just so very good.
It is, yes. It's a kid's book that makes you feel like an adult reading it, a proper
Yeah, it
adult.
really is.
I I need to reread it now. It's official. I need to buy
Well, I
my
have
own.
also.
Yeah, but with how much I love it though, sometimes you build up your like shelf with books to show people what you are
Hmm.
and everything. I think I
Hmm.
need the collection of the Lioness Quartet. There's
Yeah.
the woman who rides like a man. There's one book cover art that makes me go feral, and I wish there was like a higher quality image of it, because every time I try to Google it, there are all these like pixelated images of the book cover, and
Hmm.
she's got this like curly orange hair. Woman who rides like a man. Viewers won't be able to see this, but this one, this book cover, I want to be Alana in this book cover.
It'll come to me eventually. I'll comment on it.
It's coming now.
It is on its way.
It's right
Okay,
there.
there it is. Oh my gosh, she's so cool looking.
I know, right?
Oh, she looks so grown up. I love that depiction of the sword too. I mean, oh.
Yes.
Also, speaking we were talking before the show about like objects with personalities because we were talking about antiquing,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the fact that like the sword has such a personality without being like, oh, it's a talking sword kind of thing. I find talking sword things kind of cheesy,
Mm-hmm.
but like the blade will like hum sometimes, like it
Yes, it like
it
vibrates.
yeah. Um, Also, I would love to know more about the history of the sword because she found it in some ruins while like just gallivanting around Miles of Olau's terrain.
Just casual
Cool.
things.
Yeah. Also, like, what a king. He was like, I love you and I don't have an heir. Do you want to be my daughter since your dad's dead? And she was like, oh,
Yes.
yes,
My heart
queen.
goes warm. Yes. I think also thinking about other good characters that like accompany her, the cat, the black cat with the purple eyes. That is like
Yes, faithful.
Faithful. That's the cat's name. I was talking to a friend and I was like, I want a black cat and I want to name it after the cat that Alana has, but I couldn't remember the
Mm-hmm.
name that she gave the cat. But all right, it's
Faithful.
official. I'm
It's
getting a
very
black cat and naming it Faithful.
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 Yes.
And everyone will think I'm devout Christian. All right. Well, anyways, let's go into least favorite parts. What parts did you not like as much that irked you a bit?
Honestly, I can't think of a ton of them. It really bothered me in the fourth book. It made me anxious. It didn't like bother me, the writing didn't bother me, but it made me anxious when she was like feeling like I need to go home and I don't know why. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, because by that time I had already guessed with like the mentions of necromancy and Delia, Duke Rogers' cousin or something,
Mhm.
being like, "Hey Tom, you're not a good enough sorcerer to do necromancy." Ha 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 ha. And him being like, "Yeah, I am."
Mhm.
Um, which funny.
Funny. I don't like
Funny.
that challenge.
I don't like that. I don't like that challenge. Um, and she was having like the visions, they're the like dreams of him, and I was like, obviously these are like visions and not dreams.
Mhm.
Please, please understand. Um,
Yes.
but she did it. She got the jewel, um, and she got back and
From the tundra, and she like trudged
oh
through
my
the
god.
snowstorm and almost died. And it's like she's like losing feeling in her body, and you're like,
Mhm.
and then the creature comes, right? And then she's, oh my,
I that is honestly my all-time favorite part, I think, throughout the whole series is her going up that mountain and like essentially facing her worst fear because like she is so scared of the cold.
mhm,
It's the one thing that she's just like, oh no, thank you. And she does it anyways, despite like Liam being like, please, like you don't do that.
mhm,
Um, and she goes while he's asleep, and she trudges up that mountain. She's got all her like thick clothes on, and she's like using her gift to keep herself warm.
mhm.
Um, and it's like her magic is fading so quickly, and
Yeah,
she
and
gets up
you're
there and she
on the
gets into that
edge.
cave, and like the whole time, oh, I forget what his name is already. I have the book right here, luckily. The god, the like old god of the land,
Mhm.
who, um, who is up there, who turns into like he takes the form of like a snow ape with a big sword, and they fight. And I'm like, hello, hello.
She still has this feeling in her arms, and
Yeah.
yes, I
Um.
remember being extremely on edge, and I think that was also breaking point for her and Liam when she came back, and Liam
Yeah,
was
because
like,
she had let Faithful use magic to keep him asleep, and he was like he was like and
yeah,
she was like, oh, sorry,
understandable,
sorry.
understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but her fighting this giant snow ape and beating him with her cool hand-to-hand combat skills, even though she's lost her sword.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh, I mean,
Ooh.
wow. I mean, wow.
We went from briefly talking about least favorite parts and then immediately fangirling over the series again.
Yeah.
Can't find a least favorite part. I think um, when I was younger, I was grossed out by the fact that she liked George. I didn't like George when I was younger. Um,
It bothered me at first too, because like he
he's
is a lot
older.
older than her when they meet, and I'm like, ugh. But also like Jonathan is a lot older than her when they meet, and also Liam is a lot older than her when they meet, and I'm like, Tamora Pierce,
Alana, what you
please
doing?
make your love interest younger, please, please.
Yeah, wasn't
Oh,
Jonathan's like friends younger? Yeah, Jonathan had some cute friends. What's the name of the one that accompanied her during the trial? Um Simon?
no. There's okay. There's Raul. There's Joffrey. There's Alex. Fuck Alex. We hate Alex. Me and my
Mm,
homies hate Alex.
me and my homies hate Alex.
Um, there's the one kid who died really early during
Oh.
the sweating sickness. Um, man, I
Maybe
don't
it was
remember.
Raul, but he like accompanies her to her trial and he's like I don't know, a bro, but I liked him a lot.
Bro.
A
Yeah.
bro.
And then there's Gary.
And Gary, that's who it was. It was Gary.
Yeah, Duke of Maxon's son, Jonathan's cousin.
Yes, I liked Gary. Um, I also big favorite part was the whole daunting, as I mentioned it, the daunting knight trial to become a knight,
Mm-hmm.
and Jonathan
Being
is like, yeah, Jonathan's like, I couldn't sleep for like the next week, and it was the most horrible time of my life.
yeah.
And Alana's like leading up to this moment, and she's like, I guess I'm gonna have to put myself through mental torture, I guess.
Literally, yeah, you go into the room and it's like, here are your worst fears. You have to live through them.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's really funny.
I, I'd be like, dog. They must have the most faithful knights if that's how they do the whole knight system there. So,
Right.
we don't love mental abuse, but, you know, very
We do love
cool.
loyalty. Yeah.
Character development that this pain causes. Um,
Hmm.
let's see. Um, iconic characters.
Let me think on that one.
All right.
Um, I mean, Alana, like,
I duh.
on period. She's iconic. That's all I can say.
Mwah, yes.
Ugh.
Perfection woman. I mean,
Perfection woman.
perfection woman. There aren't that many girls in this series. I can't think of George's mom. I really like George's mom at least.
Yeah, Eleni is like, she's like, okay, yeah, I'm a healer. Yeah, I do not magic. Yeah, what about it? And I'm like, wow,
Okay. Yeah,
wow.
she gives her dresses and wigs and teaches her how to be a woman. And as a kid, I was like, ooh, when like she puts on a dress for the first time and she's like walking around the streets and nobody recognizes her because she's not in her like
Yeah,
I don't know, page gear at that point. So
yep,
to be a kid and read the Lioness Quartet again.
for real. Gosh, to be a kid disguising yourself as a boy in order to undergo the ordeal of knighthood and become a knight.
Yes. Was she the only woman ever to do that? I'm trying to
There were female warriors before that, but
Okay.
it was like in the olden days.
Like olden days. Okay.
The olden days.
When I imagine there were less rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Other iconic characters.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, man, I'm trying to like, because all the characters are very iconic. Like,
Yes.
we hate Rowlon of Melvin.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my homies hate Rowlon of Melvin.
Yes.
I mean, for me, like, okay, I don't know how to say your name. It's Buri. I don't know if it's Burry,
Mm-hmm.
Buri. I have no idea.
No.
Um, Buri. I have no idea, but she is iconic.
Is
She's
she
like,
is she like the lady in waiting for the princess?
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
She
Um,
she does all the fighting for her, I think I recall correctly.
and she's very cool and she's very tough and she's a good foil to Alana also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just really like her.
Because I
I think she's
also
cool.
I think she also was against the whole magic idea, I think. And she was closer
Oh
to
yeah, because it's
Liam.
like one of the things. Yeah, she sees it as cheating, but
Yes. Her and Liam.
um,
Which is an
she's not
interesting idea.
necessarily like afraid.
Say that again?
Yeah, she's not necessarily like afraid
Yeah.
as Liam. Um,
The whole idea
look up.
that you can use magic as cheating.
Yeah, it's like it's just a tool, baby. Some people are born with more intelligence. Some people are born with more strength. Like
Yeah.
it's just a tool. It's just a tool.
I was rooting for you, Liam. I was
I
rooting
was
for you.
rooting for you. Yeah, when he died, that hit me like a brick.
Oh, I
That hit me like
forgot
a
about
brick.
that. I forgot he died, Lily.
Oh my gosh. It's because like she comes up from the final
Yeah,
battle
yeah.
with the Duke of Conte, and he's just like laying there dead on a slab, and you're like, what? Because you don't get to see him die.
Mhm.
You don't get it's, and I'm just like, what? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh, because he knew how he was going to die, because he had seen it from a fortune teller, and so he wrote Alana a letter
Ah,
before he died,
you're
and
wrenching
he
my
was like,
heart.
don't blame yourself. I'll pull it open. I'll pull it open
All
to the
right,
page.
wrench my heart
Let's hurt.
out.
Let's get hurt a little bit.
Let's get hurt.
Saying like, knowing you think it's your fault. I got killed when I did. You're thinking if you hadn't dragged me along, forget it. Like I knew I was gonna die. And like, don't blame yourself. What could you ever tell me? When could you ever tell me what to do? I chose my life. I accepted dragon rank, knowing no dragon has lived to be 40.
Ah.
And
Yeah.
him talking about like how they don't see death the same way anyways, like some other things. Like you see death as ending, like for me, like dying for important things that's better than living safe. I mean, this one went off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was a really good letter, actually, because
Hmm.
one of Alana's character's faults is that she takes on everyone's burdens, and
She does.
yeah, she wants to fix everything herself. She wants to help all of her friends, and thinks she needs to be everywhere at once. You know,
Hmm.
and we love
And
that,
it's like,
but
yeah, but it's not always your fault. Like,
yeah,
it's not your fault that your twin brother died. Like, you couldn't have done more to help him. And
hmm
like, ugh, man, I love her so much. I love her so
she's a
much.
dynamic and strong female character that has faults, but not sort of faults that ruin her. You know, you still want to
Yeah.
identify as her and root for her um, because she's a good person and she wants to understand everyone and she wants to help everyone. Um,
Yeah.
she's a passionate lover.
We stand.
Yes, we
We cannot help
stand.
but stand.
We stand. Um, all right. Well, did he have any favorite lines from the series?
Oh, yes. Obviously we're gonna go with the one like anti-misogynistic line first.
Okay.
Which is in the third book where the voice of the tribes is telling her like why other people are so afraid of her in the tribe, like as an agent of change. And he's like, you ride as a man, fight as a man, and you think as a man. And she's like, I think as a human being. Men don't think any differently from women. They just make more noise about being able to. And I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
period.
Yes. Oh my
um,
gosh.
she's pretty iconic for that.
Mhm.
And then this quote is it's in the last book. I forget who said it to Alana, but he says, you turned into a hero when I wasn't watching. And I feel like that's just like that hits really hard because it's like even people that you know for your whole life change. Like people
Yeah.
are constantly changing, and sometimes you look at someone that you've known for a really long time and you realize that they're completely different than when they were when you first met them, and like your relationship has grown so much, and it's just ugh, it
Yeah.
can be a horrible and beautiful feeling.
Yeah, because part of you wants to be there and have been a part of that person's becoming of
Yeah,
a better person or a righteous person, and it it kind of has like a sense of loneliness to that
it
line.
does.
Um,
It's kind of forlorn, but it's also like proud. I
yeah,
love it.
that's a good quote. Who says that one?
I forget. um
It sounds
I
like
bet
a
I could.
George quote.
Right.
Like I have George's quote here where George looked at her for a long moment. Finally, he replied, "And why do you find it so hard to think someone might like you and want to do things for you?"
Yeah, that hit hard. That one hit hard, especially like as a person who is a lot of times like, like I don't deserve love. Like everyone has that kind of thought process sometimes. Like I feel
Mhm.
like no one feels worthy of love all the time. Um,
Mhm.
that quote just hits. It's
Yes.
just very nice.
It's like accept some people's love, you know. Okay,
Yeah.
find it. Do not find it hard to believe that I want to help you. You know.
Yeah.
I think
It's just very sweet.
it is very sweet, which is why, as I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate George more. Um,
Yeah.
in this sort of caring way where he liked Alana for who Alana was and never tried to like take her reins in any way. He always tried to walk beside her and walked at a distance if he needed to, you know.
Exactly.
Um
And we do have to stand for that, even though he is a lot older than her.
yeah. He's like
And does like
he's
try
like
and court her when she's like what, like 13 or 14. I hate that.
there's a scene where he kisses her and he's like 18 and she's 14.
Yeah, which I don't vibe with
I
that.
don't vibe with that. Um, Tamara Pierce's future books. I was just remembering, there's one book that centers around one of their daughters, um, and she become and it goes into it doesn't really go into it just briefly kind of says what happened between Alana and George. They're like still together, but what they do as a partnership, which is Alana goes off adventuring and then George does his own like, you know, headquarters thing and then Alana
Hmm.
comes back every so often. Um which seems like the kind of dynamic that Alana was looking for.
Exactly, and he's the only one who was willing to like let her do that and let her live her life.
Yeah.
Which I just love.
Love.
I love it.
There's also another good quote. I'm pretty sure George also says this. Um, Alana, you seem to think we won't like you unless you do things just like everyone else. Have you ever thought we might like you because you're different?
I love that one. It's very cute. I love that.
Heart go brrr.
Heart go brrr. That's how my heart feels reading these books.
Yeah, everyone's professing their love for Alana, and Alana's like, I gotta go. And they're like, no, Alana, wait. And Alana's like, no. And then I must save people.
Yeah. Alana's really relatable when it comes to romance because she's like, I don't know what I want. And I'm like, bitch, me too.
Bitch, you know. Stop running away, Alana. Sit down.
Mhm.
Sit down, Alana. Think about it. Yes.
Sorry, I'm still trying to find that quote, honestly, because I know it's in here. I know
Okay.
it's here.
Such a flood of good memories from this book series.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Um, again, recommend the extension. Their daughter turns out to be a spy, and so the book is about her doing undercover work in a neighboring
I love
kingdom. Yeah. And it's a
Um,
little edgier.
do we have any closing comments on this book series?
Will forever have a large chunk of my heart.
Yep.
No offense to all my friends, this book series holds 95% of my heart, and all of you guys have 5% of the other 50%. This book has affected me growing up, and it's definitely a series that I think I would give younger friends or maybe possible future children, like at a slightly older age, to kind of understand more about life, while also be seen as a person that's growing up to be an adult, because
Yeah.
this book perfectly encapsulates respect, um, making a difference, being unique and true to yourself and what you believe in, um, crossing society's boundaries when you realize that something's wrong, that's a huge one, honestly. This book
Yeah.
is all about, if you see something wrong, you can make an effort to change
Yeah,
it.
you can correct it.
And then, of course, there's love,
Yeah.
in an adult way. And I mean, they're kids, but, going through these love experiences as adults.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I
overall,
just
go ahead.
another thing I love about Alana is that she is very uncompromising when it comes to her presentation. Like when she wants to dress like a man, like she dresses like a man. When she wants to wear dresses, she does that. And like she doesn't let anyone else. I mean, sometimes she lets other people influence the way she sees herself when she gets upset. Like when she comes out in a dress and Liam is like, "That's not practical," and
Yeah.
she's like, "Bro, what?" And she goes back to her room and cries and changes back into her like her traveling clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurt me a lot because like she doesn't know what she wants, and that's like okay in the scope of the series. It's never seen like as a horrible thing. It's like she knows she wants to travel, and she's like maybe like when she's younger, she's like, obviously I don't want kids, but when she like actually hangs out with like a baby, she's like, actually maybe
Actually.
this isn't so bad. Maybe I want one of these.
Yeah, she's
um
dynamic. She's not as stiff-brained, you know.
yeah, she's like, I want to travel and have adventures. I also maybe want a family one day. Like, what about it?
I was just thinking about how you said when she shows up in a dress in front of Liam, and Liam's like, "What the heck?" I
Mhm.
think Jonathan was kind of like the opposite of that, where he kind of preferred her in
Yes,
dresses. Well,
absolutely. And it's
George
like,
liked her right in the middle.
yeah, he's like, either way is good with me, baby.
Yeah.
Uh, I just love that. Yeah, George is iconic for that.
All right. Well,
Um,
what are your closing remarks on this book series, Lily?
love everything except for the mild pedophilia. Please,
The mild pedophilia. Yeah.
I wish that they had been the love interest had been more closer to the age that Alana was. That is
Yeah.
my really my only gripe with this series.
Yes. Please, or at least exclude the whole all of them being interested in her when she's at an appropriate age.
Yeah, please.
Please.
I just my heart can't handle it.
Your heart skips a beat and you're like, no, 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 no.
Yeah. No. No.
Get away from
That's
him.
that is my one and only gripe.
Yeah. But other than that, uh,
I think that's all for our discussion today.
yes.
Sorry we've been taking a little bit of a break. It's been kind of hectic.
Yeah, we've been
Um,
doing our own thing. Um,
mhm.
Things are different every week, kind of now,
Yes.
because things are starting to reopen, which is causing people to meet up more and do more things. So, like, I'll
Yeah.
be eventually moving out. I did find a place, so
Yay.
I have that to look forward to as well, and that whole ordeal. But we also need to dig up some more fantasy worlds because we're running through them too.
We're running through them. Hey, but like I'll keep them coming because I've
Yeah,
read a lot that I've forgotten most about, and I'll just pull them back into the fray.
but it's always
I'll,
fun
I'll start a long list.
revisiting childhood nostalgia. Like, we should
Mhm.
probably. Did you say that you also read the Demon King Cinda Williams series?
Yes. Yeah, I would love to do that one.
We could do that next time.
You want to do that next week?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could do that next week. And then there's the Immortal Instruments that just came into my head.
Oh man. Oh, we could rip that apart.
We
We could
could
do
rip
that.
that apart. We could rip it absolutely into shreds.
I can
Um,
talk about how the Infernal Devices, the prequel series, is a lot better.
yeah. Um,
Hmm.
the Clockwork Prince, I think, is
Yes,
series
is the
also.
second book in that one.
Yeah. Um,
Infernal Devices is Clockwork Princess, Clockwork Prince. No, Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, Clockwork Princess.
I think that was the better series. I think
Yeah, absolutely.
the Immortal Instruments was very edgy and extra.
Yeah. They said, we're gonna do modern fantasy and it's gonna be really weird. And I was like, I don't know about that. And then she said, also, we're gonna do some steampunk fantasy. And I said, okay, now that I can get into.
All right. Uh, who wrote Suzanne? No, that's not Suzanne Collins. That's Hunger Games. Um, who wrote the Immortal Instruments?
Cassandra.
Cassandra. That's right. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. And
Yes.
hope everyone's staying safe.
Yep.
Bye.
Remember to wear your masks wherever you go. Protect other
Yes.
people.
All right. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.